So, good sir, how's that garage door opener working that we installed over the weekend?
It's quiet.
Excellent.
Almost too quiet.
I didn't get to hear the old one. What was wrong with the old one?
The old one was like, it was just like a machine gun. It was clearly like a weird old chain device, and it was like just going.
And it was like startlingly loud.
It was startlingly loud, whereas this one is startlingly quiet. Like you hit the button, and there's a split second where you're like, is it going? And then it makes enough noise that you realize it's going. Because it also eases into the pull-up.
Yes. It's a belt drive DC motor. It's very exciting stuff. It's very quiet.
That's thrilling.
Compared to those chain drive AC motors. No, I don't think so. None of that for us. No. Loud garage door openers. I look like a caveman? Ridiculous. Did I mention getting a rabbit? I got a rabbit.
Oh, you got a rabbit? I've never heard about this rabbit. Had no idea. I've never seen an Instagram video of it or you directly texting me videos of it.
Correct.
I have no clue.
Yes, no, this is all new information for you.
Mm-hmm.
My wife's lifelong dream was adopt a bunny. So when she said, can I, I'm thinking about getting a bunny. I was like, all right, adopt a bunny. She didn't know what to do. She's like, is this a trick? What's the problem here? So I was like, all right, just get a book, be a bunny expert, and if you still want to adopt a bunny, go for it. I will support you. So long as I don't have to do anything. Like, I'm just a passive participant in the bunny adoption scenario. But I wanted to be a good bunny parent, so I read up a little bit. And lo and behold, the bunny I am the chosen one. I'm King Bunny. Those memes about, like, the dads who didn't want pets, and then, like, they're in love with this cat. That's basically me and this rabbit now.
Yeah, and that might be happening with us, because my wife wants a dog really bad. Like, she's a heavy, heavy dog person. And I really don't care. And before, we were fine because the apartment didn't allow dogs, but now it's like, oh, you have a house, we can get a dog now. And she's been ready for this dog. And I've been like, can we hold off on it until, like, our house has stuff and we feel, lived in and comfortable in it? Because you've been there. The entire first floor has no furniture in it. It's just a giant empty space.
I wouldn't feel too guilty about that with A, the pandemic, and B, I did the same thing in my house.
Oh, no.
Because we moved from like 1,400 square feet to 4,000. I'm not spending money on furniture for all that extra square footage. You just got to space out what you got.
Well, and I'm not even feeling bad about it. And yes, it's impossible. There's things that we bought before we moved a month ago that we still haven't gotten yet.
Oh,
like
geez.
Everything is at least 3 weeks out.
Yeah,
But
it's funny that, like, supply chain issues have not stopped. Like, it's just an ongoing concern. It's like, oh, you're going to order something. Am I getting it, tomorrow or a month from now?
Yeah, every piece I've ordered is at least 2 to 3 weeks.
Well, and that's also an area where, because people were spending so much more time in their homes, there's a lot of home upgrades happening. Like, even I notice it just in walking around our neighborhood. There's just so many, like, clear construction projects and renos and remodeling and maintenance, like deferred maintenance and repair that's finally happening.
Yeah, but so, we got other projects we want to do, and I'm kind of like, can we just have the house feel like it's done and have a party, and then we can get a dog? And there were a lot of things that were like her job of like she was supposed to handle, and they weren't getting done. And I was sort of like, hey, you know what? Whatever. We all got our own stuff to worry about. She's literally every weekend goes to work in the ICU in the middle of the pandemic, so I'm not going to be like, lady, you're falling down on the job at home, to be frank. Like,
you know what? Hey, thank her for her service.
Yeah, no, I do. I thank her for her service every night.
Yes.
And suddenly last night when I was like, yeah, I don't want to get the dog until the house is done, weirdly, lo and behold, a lot of movement this morning on the contractors and other people she was tasked with hiring. Funny how that worked out. That was a block to the dog.
You need the carrot and the stick. And the dog was both carrot and stick, because you're like, no dog. Also, you get dog if these things get done.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's some important management lessons right there.
Yeah, that's how you want to treat your spouse, is you want to just manage them.
Yes.
That's helpful.
Yeah, that's exact. Yeah. Much like I manage my children. They have quarterly reviews. They've got KPIs that we follow. None of that is true. So what was funny about the rabbit, though, years ago, like multiple years ago, we did some theme customizations on a Shopify store called Small Pet Select. And their big thing was, like, they sold the best Timothy hay for your small animal, be it rabbit, a guinea pig. Apparently, if you're like a rabbit, hay is extremely exciting. This rabbit goes bonkers when we bring out some hay. And I, like, when you think about, how does your customer hear about you? And why is my conversion rate only like 1%? Well, because it's people like me who go, oh, that's interesting, that's cool. And then literally years later, when my wife's adopting this rabbit, I go, hey, check out this site that we worked on that is known for having phenomenal Timothy hay. Order from here. And now I have a gigantic, unreasonably large quantity of Timothy hay from a Shopify store in my garage.
I went to high school with a guy named Timothy Hay.
Really?
No.
No, I was like, is this a bit? Or did he really... I'd like to know more about Mr. Hay.
No, I didn't.
I don't know why it's called Timothy Hay. I don't know. I specified the kind of hay. I don't know the difference between hay. I guess there's different hay.
We're city boys.
What's like the hay? I don't know. Occasionally as city boys, like a hay bale is a thing you buy as Halloween decor.
Well, and you feed it to a horse.
Yeah, okay, true. Or, your small pet. All right, so apparently we're recording a podcast about e-commerce here. Today on the Unofficial Shopify podcast, we're going to cover 4 things. What's new in Shopify themes? Okay, so really, we're going to talk about Turbo specifically, but it applies to all themes. What we're working on, a few neat things. The broken promises of accessibility. Ooh, man. Oh, you're going to get a Paul rant on this one. And then finally, a teardown of Away Travel. Mr. Rita? Did I get that right? Did I miss anything?
Well, you're the one that writes the show notes, so I would hope you have it right.
Just play along. Oh my God. Like, no, that's what we went over in the morning meeting and nailed it.
Yeah.
When I just sent it to you in Slack, it was like, this good?
Yeah, you sent me a text file that I have open. I mean, I assume you're reading it too.
Yes, I have mine printed. I'm very fancy. Okay, so our recent work, had we mentioned that KeySmart site went live in the past?
I don't know. Was it live 2 weeks ago when we last recorded?
So I have completely lost track of time. Like, I can no longer sequence events. It's horrible. So if we've talked about KeySmart before, I'm sorry. But that site's awesome. It's really cool. GetKeysmart.com. It's a severely customized version of Turbo. Like, Turbo's the base. I would in no way at this point call it Turbo because it's really, we use Turbo as a framework and then it's all custom page templates. But like,
yeah, if there's blame, put the blame on us, not on Turbo.
Yes. Yeah, leave out of the sandbox out of this. Those poor devils. No, that I think of all the sites we've worked on, the custom themes we've worked on, this one has more custom templates for like product templates, page templates than literally any other theme, right?
Yeah, we made a huge error in doing this before Sections Anywhere launched because they want a custom paid template for every single product on their store. And so I had to do that, and it's a nightmare to keep up.
If we
had Sections Anywhere, it could have just all been one thing.
And so this gets into like the very real problem of why Sections Everywhere is being rolled out and why it's such a big deal. It's going to be a heavy lift for every theme developer, for merchants who have to upgrade themes, but I think it's absolutely going to be worth it. So like the current scenario is, you've got your standard product template, and then let's say you've got a fancy product template out of the sandbox, and their themes has product.details, in which you can add a bunch of section blocks into like at the end of the theme description. So you could do like really fancy article pages. I'm working on one right now where I'm literally taking someone's blog articles and like piecing highlights into a best-selling product. The problem with like if you're doing this for one product, or you have like one, you can apply this template to multiple products, you're good. The moment you have to have separate detail templates for separate products, you have to duplicate the template, right? And then that means if there's a new section added, okay, I have to add that to every single template. And the whole thing becomes unwieldy the more variations on this template you make. The idea behind Sections Everywhere is all this stuff becomes universal and works in a much saner fashion. So I've got like sections that would work on my homepage, sections that are added by apps dynamically, sections for product pages, there's just like the way I understand it is I get like a universal bucket of sections, and I'm no longer dealing with this like, the multiple templates thing, where currently your sections and your content are tied to the page template file itself. In this new version, it's going to be tied to the URL. So I could be like, all right, I want page.details on these 10 products, and that's the content on each of those templates is unique per each product. Essentially, It turns the whole thing into like a drag and drop WYSIWYG editor. Okay, we won't go that far, but it's getting there.
Optimally, yeah, it's closer to that than the current situation.
And I have yet to actually play with this thing or see it in the wild, so I'm speculating. But this is the way I understand it. This is my dream, anyway.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope that's how it works
that way.
I hope it appears.
Yes. Well, I have heard the scuttlebutt is like it's actively being worked on, and that it is coming. It is not vaporware. Let's see. And another. I wrote down all the stuff we worked on, but rather than go at it forever, I just want to cover a couple others. I worked on this site, and I apologize if you're not into guns. I'm sorry. I don't actually own a gun, but we worked on the site Flashbang Holsters. It is a women-owned business, and they make gun holsters for concealed carry specifically for women. And their big seller is a bra holster. And so it was a great product, great market, sold well, but the theme itself was not doing them any favors. And because this is a new product for most people, there's a ton of questions around it, especially around sizing and fit. So we went through and I built like a whole FAQ section for them and really, really fancied up the template. And I'm thrilled the conversion rate on that after 7 days, and that's not a great sample size, it's a short window, but it's up 20%. So I love those scenarios where like everything about the Shopify business is successful, but really like just the presentation of the theme is holding them back. And so being able to go in and set up a really polished, pretty theme setup, and then see a week later, your average order value and your conversion rate and add to cart rate and see all those KPIs go up. It's just really satisfying.
Yeah, that's our sweet spot, is you have your entire business figured out and can execute it. It's just that your website needs improvement.
Yeah.
Then we can just help you print money if that's the situation.
Yeah, because that is our core competency, I think. Those are the projects that go have the highest impact and move the fastest. Are you adjusting me? See?
No, I'm adjusting me.
I see. I saw you moving the webcam.
I
had dust.
Are you inside the webcam?
I had dust all over my webcam, and I brushed it off while someone was talking. And the woman goes, "Did you just pet me?" I was like, "No, but I get why it would look like that. There's dust all over the top of the webcam."
So cute.
Oh, God. Stop it. I feel very pretty. I've lost the COVID weight. I've been cutting my own hair, and I'm wearing my wife's makeup. I feel very pretty.
Makeup?
I'm a 37-year-old man who still has an oily T-zone. It's horrible. I look very oily, shiny. I don't like it. So I go, and ignoring the fact that she's several skin shades lighter than me, I use her powder, concealer. I don't know what the hell it's called. I don't know. I just take the thing and put it on my face. Hope for the best.
Just like for recording this video, or
just for this? Just for when we do these videos, I do it.
That sounds like a lighting issue to me.
All right. Well, I'm also not an expert at that. I got a studio light. That's pretty cool, but it definitely makes that worse.
You got to get one of those ring lights because you're an influencer now.
I've thought about it several times, but I've got like this big old studio light I like.
All right, you're a cutie.
Thank you. So Shopify themes have been seeing some updates lately.
Have they?
Yes.
Well, yes. It's been terrible for us because once again we did a bunch of work in starting on new theme developments in January and February, and then Shopify dropped AR and video support for everyone into your product areas, and then Turbo updated itself to Turbo 6.0, which includes all that support for all that stuff. See, the thing is, though, we had already started all of our projects, and we were like, 30 to 70% done on all of them. And then the people were like, oh, can I get video now? And we were like, oh, no, we started you on the old version. So we would have to start literally all over again.
So how?
Because all these projects are intense screwing with the base turbo theme. Like, you're never updating this thing ever again because we screwed with it too hard.
Yeah, it's no longer. It's like only 20% turbo by the end.
Yeah.
It's like when you see a really custom car and they're like, it's a Ford Focus. Not anymore. It's not.
It's whose ship was it? I'm trying to remember. There's a philosophy question of it's an ancient Greek name, and it's his ship, and then as the ship breaks, he replaces all the boards on the ship. So when he's done and he has over the course of his travels, after he's replaced every board, is it still the same ship? And if the answer is no, when did it stop?
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
We're dealing with that with these custom themes now.
Think about that.
So actually that brings up an interesting question. So there's other changes they added. But the one we're seeing the most requests for is this native video support. So first, describe to me this Shopify product media types, this native video support.
And so the thing is that Shopify boned us in that our
technical term
in that our clients didn't know about this, but then Shopify put a message on all the product pages that was like, oh, hey, you could drop videos in here now, but the videos won't work unless your theme supports it and updates it.
Oh, jeez, Rick.
And then so all of our clients were like, "Oh, does our theme support these videos?" And we got to be like, "No. You should have waited. You should have waited 2 months."
Well, so if your theme doesn't support it, you got 3 options. 1, do nothing. That's always a choice. Number 2, run the theme updater if your theme supports it and pray it works. Or 3, backport the support for it into the theme, which is what you ended up doing on several themes. You are now...
Or get a new theme.
Or, upgrade. Or just, if you're thinking about upgrading themes, I think these are some great reasons to do so.
Yeah.
So what is that? What does adding that support look like?
Previously, products would just have images attached to them. It was product images. And now it's not product images anymore. It's product media. And then under product media, it can be like video. It can be, I think AR is what it is. I don't remember what.
You can do 3D or you could do augmented reality. Both of those require you put in a 3D model.
Yeah. So now there's videos, 3D models, and images is what they're called. And so then you call them and it's like, well, okay, it iterates through all the product media, and then you have to set up rules where it's like, okay, if the product media is a video, do this. If the product media is an image, do this. But I mean, this is probably like the most complex part that I deal with on a regular basis, is because if you think about product media, it affects a bunch of stuff. Like it's a whole slideshow. So it's like, well, you got to make sure all the AR and the video shows up correctly in the slideshow. There's all the variants connected to it. So it's like, oh, well, when people are selecting the variant, like the color, you're going to want it to switch to that color and do all this other stuff. So there's a lot of moving parts involving the product media. And now they've added this whole new type, and you got to just rewrite the whole friggin' thing. And then, there's all the video rules where it's like, okay, well, is the video going to autoplay? Is it not going to autoplay? Like, how does this work? I haven't touched any 3D model stuff yet. I don't even know how to do that.
I've seen it on a few stores. Brent Dowd's Tosso, he set up a demo where it's literally, like if you Google Tosso 3D collection, I think he has like a collection literally for just demonstrating this effect. And it's really cool. And it works natively on iOS devices. So it's not like they have to download some extra app or anything. It just works in Safari. It's very cool. The tough part is, who the heck knows where to get a 3D model made? From the people I've talked to who've done it, it's not expensive, but you still got to source it and do it.
I assume it's a thing where it's like there's guys that can do it and it's fine, and then there's guys that can do it, and it's awesome. And
Probably.
You got to like shop around for like the people that truly know what they're doing.
It was cheaper than I thought it would be, though. And I think it also depends on like what your source material is and how complex it is. Obviously, like a teapot is a lot different than a stroller, to model. But yeah, they've got all right. So if you upgrade the theme to support product media types, you get video, augmented reality, and 3D, where you just drag and drop it and it works. The other native support that these themes are adding now is Shopify's native currency selector. So a person can pick their theme on the front end and all the prices show correctly. And then in checkout, if you're using Shopify payments, it processes everything in their native currency. You don't have any control over it. It does all the conversions automatically. In Shopify Plus, I think they've got rounding rules where you can make it round to, so it's, instead of being like 74 cents, it always rounds it to 99. I think that's nice. And also Shopify's native multi-language capabilities have rolled out as well. So I think those three are good reasons if you're looking for an excuse to change themes or update your theme.
Yeah, and for the video, it supports your own HTML5 video. If you could just drag and drop in there. Or there's one that's add video from URL, which currently only supports YouTube. But you could put a YouTube link in there and it pulls it.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I like that. And then like specific to Turbo is they had that thing where you could show the second product image on hover on desktop in the collection grid.
Yeah.
Which I really liked. That also supports video now. So if you've got, like, you do your first image as your default image, and then your second image you do video, and then if they hover over it, the video auto plays as in the thumbnail. So yeah, that one you can actually see in action on Corsa Performance, where like they do, many of them have a video clip so you can hear the muffler, and you hover over it and plays it right in the collection. I thought it was really cool.
Oh, it's got sound?
Yeah.
I was thinking of it as like an animated GIF replacement.
Maybe it doesn't have sound. Don't quote me on that. I don't know. Just go play with it. I don't know what I'm talking about half the time. It's just not that old. I don't know what I'm doing.
Don't I know it?
I want to hear about accessibility.
I've been dealing with some stuff. So, where to begin?
All right, well, let's start with number one. Over the last several years, we have seen merchants getting hit with accessibility lawsuits. How does that work?
All right, so in, I believe, 1990 or 1991, Congress passed a law called the Americans with Disabilities Act, and it guaranteed, it required of businesses to provide accessibility to people with disabilities. Like if you are in a wheelchair, there need to be ramps so you can get in. And if you're blind, there needs to be a way for blind people to navigate your location, your place of public accommodation. And I mean, it's a big law. It's an important law because, disabled people are citizens too and deserve full access to our country. And everyone will be disabled one day. Like, as you grow old, you will lose certain abilities. So the problem was this, and you have to be a certain size. I mean, some mom and pop shop in a small town isn't going to have to, tear down their entire building because it's not accessible. The problem was this law was written in 1990, so it doesn't talk about websites at all, but it talked about stores. And so now the question is, well, does the American Disabilities Act apply to websites? And if a person with sight issues or mobility issues can navigate your website, or if they can't navigate your website, are you breaking the law? And so there's within the last 5 years or so, there's been a lot of, I would call them shady lawyers, in that there's just lawyers that are just sending demand letters to small businesses being like, we went on your website is not ADA compliant. You need to send us money as a settlement agreement. Otherwise, we are taking this to court, and you're going to have to fight us in court in this whole thing. And they have these straw plaintiffs, which are just like, they found a random person who has sight issues, and then using that person's working with them, and then they just sue like 50 companies at one time. And they're just sending out demand letters and looking to get cash payouts.
This
it's not about changing the websites and like making things better for other people. It's about just getting quick hits of cash.
Yeah, it feels like patent trolls.
Yeah. So, and the thing is that, it's up in the air because the government has not stepped in with any sort of standards. The internet standards people kind of have a standard, but they're working on it and it's not consistent. And like the internet consortium standards don't have the force of law. So if you get sued and you go to a judge who's like, some 65-year-old federal judge who like, doesn't use email, there's a good chance of that, then it becomes like, okay, well, how am I going to convince this judge about what a website means? I mean, everyone writing the laws these days is like in their frickin' 70s. So it's just this horrible gray area that a lot of like vultures have swooped into and are just feasting on people.
And so you've got the scenario where you do your best to build a website, but because the standards are kind of lax, the standards themselves, the legal standards are just a complete Wild West show. I mean, I was complaining because we were trying to do this for one of our clients that was getting sued. Was that it's just like, oh yeah, well, guess what? You have a website, so one day a velociraptor is going to show up at your door and tear your arm off.
Oh, Mr. Arnold.
But it might not. Oh God! Well, how do I stop the velociraptor? Oh, no one knows. Like, there's nothing that we can guarantee you'll stop it. I mean, you could do this stuff. It might make it not come get you, but it might come get you. But also, there's only like a 1% chance it comes and gets you. But if it does come and get you, it's going to rip your arm off. Like, okay, well, what do I do?
Yes, yeah, and that's the problem. Is it really is unclear what your level of responsibility is. And I think it comes down to, is the website accessible? We understand that. But then what is the definition of that? And so there's a series of guidelines and standards that you're supposed to implement on a site. But it turns out they're a little squishy and a little strange to implement. What was your experience there?
Let me just wheel this back for a second. So in the court part of it, there have been federal court rulings. In some places, the judges have been like, if it's just a website, it doesn't count. You can't sue them. Get out of here. And then in other places, most specifically in a ruling against Domino's, there was a ruling against Domino's in federal court a couple months ago.
The pizza people?
The pizza people, because you couldn't, it was determined that the Domino's website was not accessible to order a pizza. The judge was like, well, the law clearly applies to you because you have a bunch of stores. And since you have stores that fall under the ADA, that means your website must also fall under the ADA. And so it was like, okay, well, that's some guidance, but what if you don't have a physical location? And it's like, oh, well, I don't know. We're back in the Wild West again. Like, who knows? So it's really bad. And like this was also happening with a lot of hotels.
Right. I think that's where it started?
I think it started with hotels a couple of years ago, and then like all hotels banded together and just formed a collective defense agreement or whatever. And we're like, we're going to fight all of these lawsuits. If you want to take us to court, fine. We have a ton of money that we are now throwing against our giant lawyers to fight all these in court. And so that it became no longer easy money. And now these guys moved on to small e-commerce places.
So, all right, how do I test for it? And then how do I fix it?
I don't know. You're the one that knows that.
Okay. Well, so ultimately,
I just do the things I'm told.
There's a series of guidelines called WCAG 2.1. That seems to be our safe harbor. If you can meet those guidelines, then your website should be accessible. And that's all technical. In addition to that, you need to have an accessibility statement on the site where you explain here, like, yes, this is important and we take it seriously. Here are the accommodations we're going to make for you. And if we have still failed you, here's how to get a hold of us so we can take care of it for you. I also like to go a step further and just put it in the footer and say, hey, if you are having any that way it's on every single page on the site. Hey, if you're having any difficulty accessing the site because of an issue with related to the Americans with Disabilities Act, please, here's how to get a hold of us. We will take care of it for you. And hopefully, then you can get details on what the issue is. You can directly use customer service to assist the customer, and then also go back and fix the issue on the site. All right, so how do you figure out if you are in line with those WCAG 2.1 standards? There's a ton of accessibility testing tools out there, and I think they're all garbage. The one that the one that didn't suck was Accessibee's audit tool. And it's extremely detailed. It was extremely helpful, and it's the one that you followed in implementing their best practices on the site. The problem is, even trying to implement everything that they tell you, you still can't quite get to WCAG 2.1 because of technical limitations with apps, with Shopify, at least as, by the way this testing tool has defined and tested for it. So once we got that far, where it's like, okay, we're like 80% of the way there, we feel good, we have made clear effort to fix this, to make this easier for someone using a screen reader, a blind reader. And then the final step was there are accessibility enablers. There are apps, scripts, widgets that add a bunch of tools to the site that let people more easily navigate the site, and also kind of like customize and modify the site so they can read it more easily. Like, for example, if you have dyslexia, some fonts are harder to read than others. So there's a font called, I think it's called Open Dyslexia, and that it's an open source font for dyslexics. And so this, like an accessibility toolbar, could switch the whole site to that font, make it easier to read.
I think that font was debunked.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, no! Ugh. All right, don't listen to me. I picked a bad example there. But yeah, I think the most important part is to go, yes, we're taking this seriously, and yes, we're trying, and here's, if we have failed you in any way, here's what you could do about it and how we can help you. I think showing that is really the most important part here.
Open dyslexia's benefit has been questioned in scientific studies.
Oh.
So maybe you semi-bunk.
Okay.
And to go back what you were talking about, a lot of the stuff in the ADA involves good faith efforts. So, if outside your store, you are like putting in a ramp to allow for wheelchair access, but like the ramp doesn't conform to the actual standard of what a ramp has to be like, they're not gonna come down on you as hard, because it's like, you tried to build the ramp, you didn't build the ramp perfectly, but we're not going to give you a freaking $50,000 fine for not having the ramp right. Like, just build the right ramp.
I think showing that, like, yes, hey, we were actively taking this seriously goes a long way. At the same time, it is important to note, neither of us are lawyers.
We're not lawyers, 100%. We are definitely not lawyers. Don't listen to us.
I do, however, have access to the Law & Order theme.
Oh, my God. I'm reading from ADA.gov right now. God damn it. Well,
as an accident.
Will good faith efforts be considered in determining the amount of civil penalty? Yes. In considering what amount of civil penalty, if any, is appropriate, the court is required to give consideration to any good faith effort or attempt by the covered entity to comply with its obligations under the Act. So, give some good faith effort. Show that you're trying. And if you show that you're trying, you won't get hit so hard.
The Velociraptor will not take the whole arm.
Yeah, it might grab a couple. It might just, kind of like
you got some fingers
and like whip its head back and forth,
like they do.
Yeah.
Ugh. I'd love to go to Universal Studios and see the raptors. They got dudes in raptor costumes. Looks really cool. That's quite the segue.
But yeah, it's terrible. Like, and it's very hard on Shopify because it's a content management system, so you have all these blocks. So I struggled with this when I was trying to implement it this week. Was okay. Well, images are supposed to have alt text. That's part of the image standard. Is there's an alt in the image, and that's the title of the image or describes what's in the image or something like that. If if you think of all the blocks on your homepage where you're putting in images in there, there's no place to put the alt text. And in the Shopify file section, there's no place to give the attach alt text to an image. So it's just like the entire homepage is just, and you can't go into the code and type in the alt text because that little snippet is applying to, I mean, even especially, this is especially bad in the current version of Turbo. All the images in Turbo are in a single snippet called image element that they then apply a lot of their stuff to, where the image will all be properly sized and it'll be using the proper file format, and the image is never bigger than the box it's supposed to be in to save on load times. But what this means is every image is one snippet. So I can't put alt text in there because that would be the alt text for literally every single image on the site.
And what's funny about this is in Canada, they are much clearer. They say websites have to be accessible, like period, done. I believe that's the federal law. But again, I don't know what like the standards and enforcement are for that. And so you ran into issues just looking up the guidelines and enforcement. Like you sent me a screenshot of one that was like, this page is a placeholder. Don't look at it. Like, what?
Yeah, I mean, we got Accessibility dinged us for something, and I was like, okay, well, I have no idea what that is. Got to Google around to learn how to do that correctly. And the number one hit on the Google search was w3.org, the main
that's the standards body for web
for
browsers.
The internet. And I clicked on the number one Google hit for this thing, and they were just like, yeah, we're still working on this. So this is here, but it's a work in progress and doesn't count. So don't read this.
Oh, jeez.
I was like, well, could I get in trouble for this, though? Like, what am I supposed to do?
Yes. And so, like, you're trying to do your best. You're trying to make it work. You're trying to make it happen. But then you find out, like, all right, unless literally everybody from regulatory committees, standards bodies, third-party vendors, everybody gets on board and goes, okay, here's the guideline, here's the standards, and we're going to adhere to this. And then also we're going to have like actual real life people with a variety of disabilities test these things. Well, then how are we ever going to, like, unless we commit and do that, how are we ever going to get through this problem? And it must be maddening to use a computer, like if you're blind and using a screen reader.
It must be terrible. Like, we see the code that people write that we're like, ugh, this website is trash. Like, I can't even imagine, trying to go about your day to day trying to do things online.
Yeah, so like 100%, I'm on board and it's important. The problem is everybody else has got to get on board too.
Yeah, no, accessibility, great, good. We want to do whatever we can to make that happen for our clients and for their customers, but there has been a complete regulatory, vacuum of how to do this properly, and the vacuum is being filled by nuisance lawsuits.
Yes.
So you're just like some random mom and pop, and it's just like, well, you need to give me $20,000 or whatever right now. Otherwise, I'm going to take you to federal court, and you're going to have to pay an attorney $20,000, and then maybe you're going to get a judgment against you and have to pay more.
And it's not a great look for e-commerce platforms to have their merchants getting sued left and right. So it's more incentive. Unfortunately, these nuisance lawsuits are what drove us to look into and take a serious look at, like, okay, what is the situation here and how do we fix it? And I think the same thing's going to have to happen for a number of parties involved to make this work. If you're thinking to yourself like, well, that was like one big client got hit with that. In the last 2 years, I have lost count of the number of people who have said to me that they have been involved in one of these accessibility lawsuits. Like, I know a double-digit number of merchants that this has happened to. And most just gave up and paid the money. And it was a non-trivial sum. Yeah.
And it's not like paying the lawsuit to that one person and that one attorney. Okay, well, I got hit. Like, it got me. I got the COVID, but at least I'm immune now. You're not immune now.
It could happen again.
You paid out one lawsuit. It could happen again. And there's no guidelines on the ground of what will make me safe from these lawsuits. No one can guarantee it. And that is a problem.
So I think, all right, so now if we have suitably frightened you, the answer is check out one of these accessibility enabler apps. I've tried several. I really liked Accessibility. It'll let you audit the site. It's got a very affordable tool to add an accessibility toolbar to the site. I believe it can generate the accessibility statement for you. But at the same time, like your accessibility statement, you can write it yourself. You need to take it seriously. Like if you're going to put it out there, you got to follow your own policy. But it really just has to say, like, yes, accessibility is important to us. And if the website is in some way inaccessible, here's like every way possible to get a hold of us, and we promise we'll take care of it for you. That's if you're worried about it, if you want to take it seriously, that's what you should do. And this is not limited by size. I mean, if you are running an online store, I think at this point it's now a requirement.
100%.
Yeah.
Not. It's like there's two good reasons to do it. One, it's good to support people and give them.
It's socially responsible.
It's socially responsible to give citizens access to your public accommodation. And two, you don't want to get sued and lose a ton of money.
Yes. Now, let's do a website teardown.
All right, so we're doing Away, which is a travel company. They sell suitcases, but apparently they're a tech company. I don't know why that makes them a tech company. They just sell suitcases online.
It's direct to consumer.
I'm pretty sure Samsonite also sells suitcases direct to consumer. Is Samsonite a tech company?
No, they are not. If you want the background on here, check out even just they have a Wikipedia article. They have been in the news quite frequently mostly over they had a lot of PR moves, but then some atrocious company culture surfaced.
Oh yeah, the CEO was like a monster.
Yeah.
And she got kicked out.
December 5th, 2019, a report from The Verge described a toxic workplace and, quote, culture of intimidation and constant surveillance at Away. And the CEO apologized, said she was appalled to read her own messages. They literally just had her Slack messages in this article. It was brutal. Anyway, all right. So if you want to look that up, feel free. But let's look at, we're not here to gossip. Let's look at awaytravel.com. I've got it open in front of me. Do you see it?
Oh no. It's a shop drop down.
Go. Landing on this site, my initial impression is it's minimal to the point of being, it looks sparse.
It's bad. It's like too minimal. I mean, and the shop drop down only has 5 things in it. And one of which is shop all.
You know, I
just put the 4 things in the main navigation.
Agreed. Yeah, I think because you've got, it could just literally be those 4 things in the main menu. And then they've got Explore. That can go in that right menu with like Help, Our Stores, Login. Our Stores, oh my gosh, they got a lot of locations. Okay, so there's no video on the homepage. There's a little bit of CSS animation that's nice. And we got some social proof. We got some press review quotes. Honestly, because Away was an early direct-to-consumer darling, DTC, I expected an experience, and I haven't gotten past the homepage, and I don't own one of these. I really expected an experience more like Allbirds, where it was like hyper-polished.
Yeah, this is pretty basic.
At the same time, maybe that minimalism drives conversions, or maybe, no one is buying luggage at the moment, so they gave up. Who knows? I do, on the homepage, they have the favorites, which I like. I wish that was the first thing. I think at this point, by the time I hit awaytravel.com, I know what I'm going for. I'm going for bags.
Well, that's all they sell.
All right, so I'm going to go shop suitcases. I want like this original core product suitcase. I wonder if this was ever a Kickstarter. This feels like a thing that would have started on Kickstarter, right?
Oh, I don't know.
All right, I won't look it up. Okay, so the homepage we're a little disappointed on. I'm on /shop/suitcases. This collection grid and page I like.
It's good. It's fine. I mean, it's just another minimalist white space who gives a shit to me.
So I'm also increasingly anti-design, where like things get over-designed and I start to lose interest. But I like a clean collection grid speaks to me. And here, the products are all photographed in exactly the same way. This collection grid utilizes white space in a phenomenal fashion. I will say I like and enjoy this collection grid. It is not doing anything fancy. They just committed to doing a grid really, really well.
All right. Well, they got these little things where you hover over it, and it shows you the color swatches. And then if you click on the color swatches, it changes the photo to that color, which is cool from an implementation standpoint. But who is clicking on those tiny little swatches?
I would not have thought to do it. But I'm sure I've heat mapped the stuff enough to know that people probably would click on this. I just tried to set them all to the same color. Because what's nice is it remembers. Like, it's not just on hover. If you click and then move away and do another one, they all stay. So I set them all to, I gave them all racing stripes.
It's just a radio
All right,
button.
I'm going with the carry-on. I perceived that the carry-on was like the original core product. So I'm clicking that guy.
So what makes this good? Does it hold
advertising, Paul?
It holds your stuff.
I believe this was the first one that had a power pack built into it, so it had USB ports you could charge your phone. And then the FAA said, "Well, actually, you can't use that. If you couldn't use it as a checked bag, I think was the issue. Like the battery has to always be with you in case it starts smoking." Landing on this page, the product detail page, scroll down to the animated GIF background. This is what I'm here for. Look at that thing. It is an animated GIF video of a stop motion video of this bag packing itself. And so it's eye-catching, it's cool, but it's also a very clever way to illustrate exactly how much it holds. And then at the end, a bowling ball hits it. So we're to believe, the polycarb shell will defeat bowling ball impacts. And then it keeps going. There's actually a lot of that, a lot of these animations.
This animation is in terrible quality.
It's it's a chunky frame rate because it's stop motion.
Yeah, but
I'm defending this.
It's that it's an HTML5 video. No, it's all pixelated. This is terrible.
I recall this from some time ago. I think this has been the media they've used for a while, because this feels very familiar to me.
I'm looking at the code for this thing.
And at the bottom we get our reviews widget. Looks good. Standard. Oh, so I can order it with or without the battery now. The Chalet collection channels the spirit of retro slope style. What?
Slope style, is that skate or die?
No, I guess this is a ski accessory? For travelers who want to stay connected on the go, it comes with, I have a $50 Samsonite that I really think is the same damn thing. They're using accordion menus for the details and the return policy. As an upsell in the cart, I can add checked luggage to it. Whoa!
What
really
does that mean?
Doubles the price.
You can add what, the garment bag?
Mine, I'm looking at, carry-on / peak. And if I go back...
What's peak?
I don't know.
I added to cart. Anyway, I think these videos are trash. They're pixelated and terrible. And I guess that's fine that they're stop motion, but at least take them at a higher resolution so they don't look like trash. And also it looks really ugly how as you scroll up and down the text on it reveals itself just chunkily from behind a shade.
So yes,
just have it be there.
Yeah. I'm with you on the CSS animation in addition to the video. Is
video
going too far.
I mean, how much better would these videos look if they weren't stop motion?
But how would you do that? I mean, it's literally a stop motion video. That's how they did it.
I get it, but it's what if it's just a person actually doing the stuff, like a pair of hands? It would look 10 times better.
I think you just don't like stop motion.
I just think these videos look cheap.
How do you feel about The Nightmare Before Christmas?
Okay, see, that's stop motion. And also, it was Ray Harryhausen's birthday, so on TCM, the only channel I watch, they showed a bunch of Ray Harryhausen movies, who was the king of stop motion. See, he did his stop motion, or, the Empire Strikes Back, everything on Hoth, stop motion. That was done at 24 frames a second. When I see stop motion that's like 5 frames a second, I'm just like, this is a shitty video.
All right, I accept your view. Once I've added the item to cart, and so they tried to upsell me with a personalization. I could personalize it, so I can add it's a $10 upcharge to get a tag. The initial price they give you is without the battery, and then you add the battery, and that ups the cost. And then they'll also offer you, well, hey, did you want to get the matching carry-on with it too? So there's a lot of efforts to really like dramatically increase the average order value. The other thing that's interesting is in the cart, the discount code lives in the cart. It's not in the checkout. But in the cart, again, there's even more cross-sells where it's like, add 1 or 2 more things. And it's like packing cubes. Who doesn't like packing cubes? I'm getting some packing cubes.
What's the mini? Yeah, it tells you to add things, but you don't know what they are. The mini is an extremely tiny suitcase.
Oh, for God's sake, this isn't a Shopify store.
No, it's not.
Huh. This teardown has gone nowhere fast. Yeah. You know what? In the footer of Away Travel, there's a link with the other policy stuff that says accessibility. I'm going to click it. We're going to go over that, and then we're going to wrap up this teardown. Accessibility.
We made people listen to this.
Yeah, I apologize. Away is committed to providing a website that's accessible and navigable to all consumers who actively work, etc., etc. They define the guidelines they use. We use the guidelines of the Web Accessibility Initiative as a model. Looks like that's from W3. While we strive to adhere, we're not always possible at all times. And then they give you, like, hey, if you need help. And then they give you their email address and their mailing address in case you want to send them a letter about it. So, yeah, I mean, that's what we're looking for. Is you go, look, we tried. Here's specifically how we tried. And if we screwed it up, here's how to get a hold of us.
But let's give them credit. These upsells are really good.
Yes.
They're hitting you with upsells when you add to cart. They're hitting you with upsells, cross-sells when you're in the cart. And I'm sure that's a lot of money for them.
And I think what's going on with that main menu, where it's like shop, then bags, and it's got an arrow, it's trying to funnel me. It's trying to get you to walk through this purchase process. Because if they could do that, like, let's get you to a collection page where we're going to show you and make it really easy for you to put together a set. And I think that's also why I could pick my colors right there, and I've got a 4-column grid. So really, it's like, here, imagine this is your luggage, right? That's what's going on here. And then, all right, once I start with one and add it to my cart, it's trying to cross-sell me on, well, get the other one. Like selling, because we're dealing with a fairly expensive item here, the carry-on I added is almost $300. If I would have added the accompanying bag, the checked bag with it as well, now I'm up to nearly $600. So it really, I mean, it's a dramatic revenue impact for them.
I'm going to disagree with your police work there, Lou.
All right.
It would make sense if they were trying to funnel you, if each of those collections were like a different experience when you click on every single link. Like, this is the bag experience. This is the different way we sell you bags.
This is our bags experience? It's called bag.
When we try to sell you interior organizers. All these links do is take you to a collection listing. There's no difference in the presentation of what you're getting depending on what you select. It's just the products in the bucket. And on all those pages, on some of those pages, when you get to the bottom, it says make a set. And you could click on and it has a product bundler where you could build your own set of things. So if they cared about you making a set, they would just send you to the make a set page.
Okay. All right, you make a solid point. How do I get to the set? Where's this make a set thing?
You got to go to...
Oh, make a set. Oh, yeah, it's just like an image in the corner.
This make a set thing...
That should be in the main menu.
That should be in the main menu. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, this is really cool. It's like a configurator.
That should be all... This is like all profit for them because it shoots your average order value through the roof.
I want the bigger carry-on.
On the interior of one collection page.
Oh, yeah, I just did a set of 3 with a battery, and it's $715.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where the money's at. And then when you scroll down, you get your beloved videos.
Well, and they all fade in and out like halfway through the page. Like the fading where you are on the window scroll is like way off.
Let me
It's like, I
let me
don't need to
refresh and see if I can get this.
disappearing.
Oh, weird. I refreshed and scrolled to the bottom, and I just got the footer. And then I scrolled up, down, and then it appeared. So it lazy loads this thing. So you don't like that it's got like this kind of parallax scrolling thing going.
I just don't like the fade out, the fade in and out. It's just like, just let it be there, man. Stop trying to be so freaking fancy.
Yeah, well, and then also doing that like load in and out does occasionally create layout issues. In this case, in the reviews, the ask a question button, the layout broke, and now it's like it's literally in the middle of a review.
All right, so here's another weird thing. Where you're looking at sets.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Go to awaytravel.com/uniform.
Okay. Travel uniform.
This is another product bundler,
Oh, look at this.
which is it takes you step by step and you can build them each individually.
I like
To me,
this.
which I feel this feels like a way better way of doing it.
Huh. The carry-on with a pocket. Oh my gosh. Who doesn't want the pocket? And the battery. And this thing. Okay, and then, yeah, you're right. It's like multiple product forms. And then you pick your two bags. And this together, they're $425. That's a $45 savings. Add to cart. Okay. All right. I do like the cart's very clean. I like it. All right. This was our worst teardown ever. I'm calling it quits. I'm packing it in. I'm not traveling anywhere.
Come on, Kurt. This is a $1.4 billion company. Doesn't
You're
this
kidding.
look like a... Yes, no, that's their valuation is $1.4 billion.
Okay, well then I don't feel bad about being hard on them. 1.4 billion
Yeah.
for selling a Samsonite knockoff?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, they're not going to exist in 2 years.
Oh, brutal. Set a reminder. Hey Siri, remind me in 2 years. Is Away still around?
I'm on it. Okay, your reminder is set for tomorrow at 2 p.m.
Oh, it's gonna remind me tomorrow at 2 p.m.
No!
They're probably gonna be around then. All right.
Oh, by the way, the horrible CEO that resigned, she now says that it was not right for her to resign.
So she changed her mind.
I don't know.
I read in that Wikipedia article they said like that they claimed it was bad reporting but it was after they apologized, and it had screenshots from their Slack.
It was literally screenshots of all the horrible shit she said. She apologized and resigned, and then was like, "By the way, that was all lies." Then why did you resign?
Oh, and I remember the idea was they had open culture, and the way they achieved open culture was you weren't allowed to use email or DMs. Like it was supposed to be everything just goes in a general Slack channel.
Yeah,
so they would
was public in Slack.
Yeah, so that she would dress down people in the Slack, but it would be in front of the entire company could see it, and then that's what the screenshots were of.
Well, and it was all this weird stuff where it's like, hey, I'm not being negative right now. I'm just trying to like call you in so we could all work together in like getting this going. And it's like, yeah, no matter what language you couch it in, you're telling someone they did a shitty job, like
in front of their peers.
Yeah, it's like I'm trying to have plausible deniability that I'm being really nice to you right now and not telling you you're doing a shitty job, but it might be better if you were just like, yeah, you suck.
Hey, don't take this the wrong way, but your hygiene offends me. Hey, no, don't. It was just a joke. Don't get offended. I was just joking. That's how oppressive devils talk.
All DTC startups should be flushed down a toilet.
Oh my God!
That is my quote for this episode.
Oh, Jesus. Ugh.
Mindset.
I don't know why. All right, well, this has turned into a train wreck. Let's get out of here. The please, if that didn't frighten you off, join our Facebook group, the Unofficial Shopify Podcast Insiders, and I promise we'll do better next time.
I only mean like the fancy ones, by the way, that are like venture backed and full of shit. Not everyone.
Okay, so there's a list of approved and disapproved DTC startups. Paul Rita's the sole arbiter.
Exactly.
And okay, so all right, that at Paul Rita on Twitter and let him know which you feel belongs in which column. And he'll publish his findings at a later date. Very good. All right, Mr. Rita, we'll leave it there. Thank you very much.